Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. I am in Kansas, actually in the Kansas City area right now. I've been kind of touring around, dropped in on some interesting places, a couple of really cool gun stores, found one that had a surprise, incredible collection of double barrels and over and unders. And then right next to it was Simmons. If you've been around this a long time, you recognize that name. They invented the vent rib for shotguns. I mean, for many years, it was like you're going to get a Simmons vent rib for your shotgun. They're still in business right here in Olathe or Lex. I'm not sure which one they're in. But while I was here, I dropped in and see the folks over at Hodgdon Powder, because their headquarters are right here, and met with Chris Hodgdon and Aaron Oelger from Hodgdon. Aaron joins us right now. Aaron, appreciate you joining us. Have you gotten back from the farm?
Good afternoon, Tom. I am. I'm back in Kansas City.
Okay, good deal. All right, my first question is not one we talked about, but I had a call a little while ago, and he said, is anybody doing any kind of programs to get youngsters and get youth interested in and involved in reloading? I said, well, I know who to ask on that one. I'll ask Aaron.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of efforts out there. Unfortunately, they probably aren't as organized as we need to be. You and I talked when you were in our office this week about our Reloading Roadshow, and that roadshow goes all around America. You can go to our website and see where those events are this year. But we have done several of those that are focused on youth to try to teach youth reloading. Interestingly enough, I think it's their dads that come with them or their moms that come with them that have as much fun as the kids do. But yeah, I think we probably do need to be more organized in that effort to reach youth that really have an interest in hand loading.
That makes sense. Well, I know that you'll work on that, and I'll start putting the feelers out, and maybe we can get NSSF involved in that as well. So that would be worthwhile. All right, so let me ask you this. I'm sitting over there in your office, and we're kind of just shooting the breeze, just generally about powders and reloading, what's going on. And it's almost like you just kind of threw it off as an afterthought. You talked about the technology that we now have in powders, and I never thought about that. I think powders are powders. And you start talking about coatings and this and that, and it's like there were two things that kept coming up in terms of benefits. And for those of us who have been at it a long time, we think, well, we got the same powders we've always had, and we do. But in many cases, they're either different or better. And the two areas were temperature sensitivity and then basically building in copper erasers into these. Talk to me about the improvements or advancements or technological advancements in smokeless powders for reloading.
Sure. So absolutely, your point is well made that it's easy to assume that gunpowder really hasn't changed much in the last 100 years that we've been shooting smokeless or so. But we've seen a lot of advancements, especially in the last, call it, couple of decades. So some of those have been driven by the military, right? And we understand that. But when you think about, you and I talked about temperature insensitivity. And essentially all that means is that powder will perform the same no matter what temperature it's loaded at versus shot at. So if you think about it, I'm in the Midwest, right? And let's say that I'm getting ready to shoot a PRS match out west later in the year. And we have very high humidity levels, very high temperatures in the Midwest in August, let's say when I load that up.
Okay.
The temperature insensitivity just gives me the confidence that I know when I go to shoot that, let's say that I'm in Utah, I'm in Wyoming, I'm in Montana on an elk hunt, or let's say that I'm shooting a PRS match out there later that fall. It can be below freezing, and I know that my shots are going to go to the same point of aim no matter what the temperature I loaded it or shot it at. So I can sight in my rifle here in Kansas. I can go out west. I can shoot it in completely different temperatures out west and have the very utmost confidence that it's going to shoot to the same point of aim. And at the end of the day, when you and I talked about that feature, it is a really good feature, and that's really important that it performs. But more than anything, most of us hand load because we want that performance edge. We want the confidence that knowing that what we did will result in a dead elk, or it will result in winning a match or something along those lines. It's the confidence that a feature like that can really instill.
Well, and if I may, some of the older powders actually were temperature sensitive, and that is you could actually lose enough velocity going from loading them hot in hot temperatures and working up your loads, and then you go to a place that's 40 or 50 or 60 degrees colder, and you've lost 100, 200, 300 feet per second. And while it may not make a difference, it really wouldn't make a difference at 100, 200 yards, you start getting out at 400, 500 yards, especially if you're a competitor and you're shooting longer out there, it absolutely can make a difference.
Absolutely. And that's indeed exactly why we do it.
And for those who are wondering, why would it change? It's a chemical reaction. And if you remember your basic chemistry training, temperature is a factor in that. You change the temperature and you change the chemical reaction. And that's what the whole idea is in getting powders that are temperature insensitive, where you can count on it performing no matter what temperature you load them at versus what you shoot them at. And that's all cool. But the one that really got my attention, Aaron, is when you said, yeah, we got powders that also make it easier to clean your rifle. And that's when my ears really perked up. So what's that all about?
So we have an ingredient that we use in different powder lines called, by different brand names, but essentially it's a copper fouling elimination agent. So it really helps keep your barrel clean. And as you know, that's going to result in accuracy improvements. And it also makes sure that you don't have to clean your rifle all the time. You know, that's not really of an issue for those of us who are hunting. You know, we're probably only going to shoot, hopefully we're going to shoot once or twice. But especially for guys that are out or girls that are out shooting PRS matches, that's of critical importance. You know, they're going to send 100, 150, 200 yards a range. They're going to send 250 rounds down range. It's really critical for them to have that confidence that the copper fouling elimination agent is going to work, where they don't have to be cleaning their barrels all the time. So again, you know, that we can say all the technical jargon about that and why it's important, but at the end of the day, we're really trying to instill the confidence that it will perform like I need it to perform when it comes time to shoot.
So you mean I only have to clean my rifle like every 5 years instead of every 10 years or something?
I would suggest probably a little bit more frequently than that, but it does help, especially when you're at a match.
I can see that. So how do people know? I mean, and for those, a lot of people do know, but Hodgdon is not just Hodgdon anymore. You purchased some other lines. You got a lot of different powders. How do you know which powders have the copper reducing elements or agents in them?
Sure. So we do own 5 different brands. We own 4 different brands of smokeless powders. So Hodgdon, IMR, Accurate, Ramshot, and then we license the Winchester brand. So when you look at those 5, you know, kind of Hodgdon brands on the shelf, we'll specifically call it out on the front of the label that it has a copper fouling reducing agent in it. So just look at the label, and if it says it has it, then it has it. Okay,
one final question for you. The StaBall series now of powders from under the Winchester line, there was StaBall 6.5 and then StaBall Match, and what's the other one we have now?
StaBall HD.
HD. As I look at the loads, and I'm a real geek in looking up all these loads, I spent a lot of time on your website. Look, you got your data center there. It seems to me that among kind of the cartridges in the middle, the 270s, 708s, that type of thing, you can often get an extra 100, 150 feet per second velocity using the StaBall 6.5. And I know that when you guys put out the loads, they're safe because you're measuring the pressure on them. How does a powder like that give you more velocity?
Again, it goes back to what you were talking about earlier with it's the chemical reaction, right? And so we worked pretty hard developing new technology of powders, and that specific line of powders was developed to shoot a little bit faster in velocity. So that's something that we worked on for probably the last 4 or 5 years. We're continuing to work on new powders to round that family out. You know, we introduced 6.5 3 years ago. We introduced Match and HD at the SHOT Show this year. We're working to figure out, do we need, you know, another powder, another 2 powders to round out that family line? And so that's something that we're kind of looking at next. But we developed that line of powders specifically to shoot just a little bit faster.
Well, they sure work, and also they meter really well. It's easy to load with them, so it's a lot of fun to load those. I would just direct people to your website, HODGDON, Hodgdon.com, and then, of course, you got the link from there to the loading data. And, of course, you've got the 2023 loading manual out as well, and that's available.
Absolutely. Yeah, Hodgdon.com is the best place to go. All of the links to all of our other sites, be it a branded website, be it the Hodgdon Reloading Data Center, or on that site itself.
Sounds good. Aaron, thank you so much. I really enjoyed getting over to the place and seeing your operation, seeing the little museum you got there. That's very cool. And what a great group of people you have there.
Well, thanks. We're really blessed, and it was a great time to have you in the office this week. Thanks for that.
All right, you take care. I'll see you a little bit further up the creek.
All right, thanks so much.
Take care. 866-TALK-GUN. Are you a reloader? What are you looking for when you reload? Consistency, velocity, lower cost? I don't know. 866-TALK-GUN.